onye na-ajụ na ga-amụ onwe kedu ife bụ omenala kedu ife bụ ụka. Anyị nwere omenala emetụrụ ụka and onye ụka na-eme omenala. Alụsị ndị be anyị na-aghọta ebe asị omenala ma na-egosi na omenala onye na-eme alụsị ma ọ na-efe mmụọ. Omenala bụ ọdụbendị ka ndị si eme ife ka ndị na nghọta ebe na Igbo n'ụtụtụ ịbata be mmadụ wee weta ọjị unu agọ unu gosi ya tasịa ma ọjị ọ gwaba gị ife o jiri bịa. Nke a bụ omenala.
Good morning. My name is Chukwemeka with the Igbo Hebrews organization. Brothers and sisters, these are the Igbo people who have realized that we are the true Hebrews of the Bible and we've returned to the worship of our God. We do not practice Christianity, we do not practice Islam, we do not practice Judaism. We return to the worship of the true God of the Bible. Brothers and sisters, I want to kind of explain today the Igbo culture, the Bible, and idol worship. We, the Igbo people, but we probably may not realize the amount of injustice that has been done to us. Not in terms of economic injustice, which is prevalent, or in terms of slavery or anything like that, but also in terms of religion, in terms of our tradition. You see, in Igbo land, there's something we call Omenani. Omenani means tradition, our culture, our tradition. There's also something you call Igbo. So basically there are two things in Igbo land. You have Omenani and you have Igbo. Omenani is the tradition, the culture of our people, the way we live our life, the things we do, the things that bind us together. Igbo is a religion, worshipping of idols. Igbo means to worship idols, to worship the spirits. These are things that are done in Igbo land. There is a huge difference between the two of them. If you are doing Omenani, you are just living your life as an Igbo man. You do things that we inherited from our ancestors. While on the other hand, Igbo was not part of Igbo culture originally, and I intend to explain that today. One of the injustices that was done to us in a very early stage of our life was Christianity coming into our religion, into our culture, into our society. The white man came to Africa and he brought Christianity to us. He brought Christianity. It's only in Africa that he brought Christianity. The Latin Americans, the Asians, everywhere, they took Christianity there. And we thought Christianity is something good because, Christianity puts on this face of something nice, but it's really not nice. It's actually a very dangerous religion. So since Christianity about 100 years ago, in fact there are many communities I know that like 5-6 years ago they were celebrating 100 years of Christianity in their community. So Christianity did not come with the white man originally. The white man, when he got to our land, wasn't looking to preach to us or save us or anything. They were looking to exploit us, to take us into slavery, to kidnap us and sell us to slavery. It was about 300 years later that they brought in Christianity to us so that they can conquer our minds after they have studied us and known how to destroy us. So they brought Christianity to conquer our minds. One of the injustices that Christianity did to us was to teach us that anybody who is not a Christian is an idol worshiper. Even today, if you go to maybe a government establishment to fill a form, they will ask you your religion. If you are not a Christian, you are not a Muslim, they will say you are an atheist. They do not respect African traditional beliefs. Now, in Igbo land, if you go to the Christian churches, they tell you that anybody who is doing Omenani, anybody who is doing tradition, the culture of our people, is also doing Igbo. They tend to bring these two things together. Igbo was never part of Igbo culture. It's actually worshipping of Alosin, worshipping of idols. In one of my videos, I explained that the word the Igbo people call idols is alosi. Alosi means abomination. Something that is abomination, we do not worship it. People that even worship it in those days were ostracized in our communities. They were called Osu. If you dedicate yourself to any of those alosi, you are called Osu. If, for instance, you need to understand the etymology of the Igbo language for you to understand this history. If you have an issue with someone now, the person will say, Meje patalega alosi. That translates to, I'll go and bring alosi to you. That tells you that alosi is not something that existed in the land. It's something that is being brought from outside of the land. If you look at Igbo history, and if you look at the book written by Dr. Elizabeth Isiche, she mentioned that the people of Arochukwu were among the first to bring oracles in Igbo culture. So that there you see that the proof exists that oracles, alosi, and other ones were never part of Igbo culture. But Christianity wants to make us believe, those of us who are Christian wants to believe that anybody who does tradition, who does Omenani, is also doing alosi, which is not true. I consider myself extremely fortunate because I grew up in Igbo land and I was observant of things that were going on. I did not meet my grandfather, he died before I was born, but I met his elder brother, and I know that whenever his elder brother, I had access to his room, we were, it was my grandfather. We don't have the word uncle in Igbo land. Your uncle is also your father. So he was telling us stories about Omenani. I know he does not do alosi. He did not go to church when he was alive. He never went to church. But he was doing Omenani. He was keeping the traditions. And I know he never did anything alosi. Never. In fact, the word alosi is, he hated it. He hated people that were doing it. And from there, I begin to get the clue that this was not our tradition. It's different. There's a difference between Omenani and tradition. The good news is, brothers and sisters, if you look at Omenani, if you look at the Igbo culture, our tradition, it is biblical. Everything we do in Igbo culture is biblical. It's in the Bible. It's in the scriptures. You can find it in the Bible. You can find it especially in the book of Jubilees. Igbo culture. We didn't see the Bible before we adopt those cultures. We've had it from our ancestors. And that is why in this channel, I bring out those Igbo cultures, those things that we do, that we call Omenani. And I give you the biblical equivalent of that. I have made that a mission for myself, something that I want to bring out. It took me over 10 years to be able to even communicate this to people because it takes a lot to convert our people. Christianity has spread out its dragon hold on our people. But the Most High made us aware when we started this project that if we put the information out there, he will draw his people to himself. And I'm really surprised the amount of people that send us mail to congratulate us and to even identify with what we do. Both those who are Igbos and those who are not Igbos. This thing I'm saying that was done by Christianity is not only to the Igbo community, to every other communities as well. So it's important for people to look into their culture and see what has been stolen from them. Our culture, our cultural practices has been demonized by people who came with the Bible. We didn't know that the Bible contains our culture actually, and they knew it. The funny thing is that they knew that our tradition is contained in the Bible, but they made us stop it. Before the white man came to Igbo land, for instance, if a woman is in her period, if a woman is in her menstrual cycle, she is not allowed to touch anybody. She is kept apart from the rest of the people until that is done. This was Igbo culture, and it was stopped by the Christians. The Christians stopped it. Meanwhile, it's in the Bible. Go and read the book of Ezekiel, who is the prophet that people call Ezekiel, chapter 22. Go and read the book of 2 Samuel. It's right there in the Bible. But these Christians, they made us stop it. And there are so many other biblical things that we do that are biblical. And if you go through my videos, I pinpoint those things that we do in Igbo land that are biblical as proof that we are the people of the Bible. Our identity was stolen by the Jewish people. It's the biggest identity theft in the world. They stole our identity, stole our religion, stole our culture, and they brought a crappy religion that is called Christianity to us and left it here for us. A religion that is destroying our communities. The good news for us Igbo people is that we don't have to extrapolate. We can interpolate. What that means is that interpolation is finding data between two known data points. For instance, we have history before Alosi came to our communities. Before the white man came to our community, we have a written history. We also have history in the middle of that. We have written history in the middle of that. The history we have before the white man came to our community was written by our brother Olaudah Ekwuano, an Igbo man that was sold to slavery, and he chronicled our culture in about 50 pages that anybody can just go and read. Also, in the middle of that, we have the story of Dr. Oborabiato Pepo that anybody can also read. The book is very scarce now, but you can find it. They are all chronicled in this book, The Igbo People and the Europeans, The Genesis of a Relationship, written by Dr. Elizabeth Isiche. We have those known data points. We also have today Igbo cultures. We have people that are aware of our culture, aware of our calendar, aware of our tradition, that you can ask questions and consult. We have those known data points, so we can interpolate in between them. We don't have to extrapolate, we don't have to make guesses. And when you interpolate in between these known data points, you know that our cultural practices, our Omenani, is clearly biblical. Clearly biblical from its origin, from inception. And that is what we do in this channel, to bring out the biblical origin of our culture to our people. And we are heavily encouraged by the amount of response we get from people. And we do hope that we will be able to expand the ministry to wake our people up, to make us realize that we are truly the Hebrews of the Bible. Our identity has been stolen, and the Most High is now calling us back. The Most High has awakened His people. He's calling His people back. And brothers and sisters, if the Most High calls you, please do not hesitate to answer. I understand what a lot of people send me in mails, that it takes a whole lot to change from what they've been taught in Christianity, in their history, and to come back to the biblical heritage, Igbo biblical heritage. Even though they can see that what we are telling them is true, it takes a lot. I understand that. But you have to make up your mind. Do you want to live a life of lies, or do you want to stay with the Most High? Even if it means standing alone. And I will recommend each and every one of us who is having this difficulty to read the book of Nehemiah. The prophet Nehemiah was the prophet that came back from Babylonia and re-established the Hebrew method in Jerusalem, even when our culture was completely diluted and Hellenized at that time. But he re-established it. And in most cases, if you read the book of Nehemiah, you see that there are very few families that actually came together to re-establish this. They were standing alone. Even those that came together at some point, the Levites were marrying foreign wives, misbehaving. But he stood, and he stood alone. And he stood for the Most High, and the Most High remembered him. So no matter how isolating it is, and I do know that it can be isolating when you decide to come back to the worship of the Most High, to practice the worship of your ancestors, which is the true biblical worship. I don't know that can be isolating, but at least you are not alone. There are people who are doing that, and that's why we are trying to work on our website to establish that community, so that people will know that they are not alone in what they are doing. We will keep on calling for our people to come back to the worship of our God. Go back to Omenani. Omenani is our tradition. Omenani is the Bible. The Bible is not the white man. The white man does not know anything about the Bible. There's nothing in the white man's behavior and the white man's culture that has to do with the Bible. It is our book. In addition to encouraging people to come back to the worship of the Most High, to come back to our tradition, to come back to Omenani, I hope in this channel is to highlight to people the tradition we are leaving behind. Unfortunately, in our communities, like I said earlier, Christianity has taken a very strong hold on our people. Our people are literally insane with Christianity. And I maybe on a separate video I'll give the negative impact of Christianity in our communities. So it's important that there is someone who speaks up for our traditions, for our culture, because our culture and our tradition has been smeared in mud by the Christians in a very malicious and lying propaganda, which they wage war on our culture. And that's why I've made it my duty to show our people that our culture is biblical. It's much more biblical than Christianity. Christianity is a pagan religion. Our culture is the biblical thing. That's the real stuff. As long as you can separate our culture away from the worship of idols, you get the real biblical stuff. And that is the intention of this channel, to put it out there for our people to see this and know this, to know. That is why whenever any video I put out there, I try to prove it. I try to give a reason, a logical reason behind that. You may not agree with my conclusions, but you will not fault my logic. You may not agree with the conclusion, that's okay, but the logic will be there. I won't make any assertions as to why I came to that belief. I won't willingly, or even knowingly and unknowingly, jeopardize the faith of my people. I don't do this for popularity or for money. I do this for the Most High Himself. So we present our culture so that our people will see what we are leaving behind. We present the beautiful culture and traditions we have and the biblical and scriptural basis for them, so that we see what we are leaving behind and we'll see the malicious nature of the culture we are replacing it with. We are leaving behind a tradition, a culture that was based on love and togetherness, what they call Omenani and One. A culture that was built on love and togetherness that has lasted our ancestors for thousands of years. And we are replacing it with Christianity and Western culture that is built on death, destruction and deception. That is what Christianity and Western culture is based on. We are living the culture of our ancestors, the people who nurtured us and gave us life, and we are replacing it with the culture of the same people who enslaved them, the same people who exploited them and are still exploiting us, the very same people who are manufacturing diseases every single day and are injecting it into our children. These are the things we are taking up. We are living a culture where people live in peace and togetherness, where you don't need anybody to look after your children, where people do not even have to worry about their children. The children can just get up and go to the stream and come back. And we are replacing it with a culture where people sleep with 3-month-old babies, pedophilia running up and down. A culture where men sleep with men and women sleep with women. A culture that is rife with abomination, all in the name of civilization. That is what we are replacing it with. It's important, and we know that this is going to be a very long battle. It's a battle that does not look like we are winning it, but it's important that our people realize what we are giving up. We are giving up a priceless culture that was laid for us by our ancestors. Our ancestors laid down their life to defend this, and now we are giving it up for a people who have no respect for the young or old, a people whose culture is filled with pedophilia, child molestation, homosexuality. These are the things that we are taking in just because they gave us an iPad. Brothers and sisters, it's important that we come back to our tradition, and that is the objective of this channel, to bring back, to highlight the biblical basis for our tradition. It's important that we come back, because this is something that never leaves. You are who you are. The Most High created you to be an Igbo for a reason. And we know that whatever generation of our people that come across our message, that they will identify with it. In fact, our problem is not even convincing our people. Our problem is even getting the message to our people, because the very few people we've been able to reach, those people who are patient enough to even download and listen to our videos and listen to our teachings, those people, they are usually convinced, and we know that in the future the Most High will give us the ability and the capability to reach His people. May the Most High bless you. Salam.